Hey everyone, it's Ellen. So I finally got a chance to sit down and try and edit and put in some videos of the back-to-back watercolor retreats I did in Spain and in France. Recently, I have been like on the go since the day I got back, just working. And I actually did, I think, 18 videos before I left so that nobody was left high and dry on YouTube or Patreon. That's how much I love you guys, right? Nobody was left dry. You had content still happening while I was away, and I'll always continue to do that as much as possible when I'm away so that you're not missing out on anything. So these retreats were wonderful, totally to different unique venues. And so the people that come on those retreats will have different experiences because we'll be in different venues. So in Spain, we'll be painting things like what's around the area, the environment. We were painting the mountainside of Spain that we were in, the elements of the towns that we were in, just like these whitewashed building towns with these beautiful potted plants that are hanging off the buildings. These cliff towns like Ronda, which was like amazing. And so when I do my retreats, I think of the venue first and where we are in the surroundings and design a program around that. We always go over the basics, you know, especially for those who are really new to watercolor, but I kind of ask around and see how well people know how to do things. I don't want to waste everyone's time if they're really good at already doing wet on wet and to know the basics, which are, you know, knowing how to do water control and all that stuff. So we can actually just dive right into painting, which is what we did actually in both retreats because pretty much people have been painting for a while. So my last one we had last year, we had some new beginners, so we had to like do a couple like, you know, beginner kind of studies. But when we go to the retreats, I assess like the people, how they're doing, what they have experienced, how long they've been painting, and we just go in the beginning kind of like stuff pretty quickly, and we go into like a practice kind of tutorial or practice painting in the beginning to see where I go around and see where everyone's at with their water control and whatnot, and then assess from there if we need to do a little more beginner stuff or just go right into painting. And I find the more you go right into painting, the more you just go right into everything, the better off you are because you're going to learn faster, right? So not everyone's great at urban sketching. We do a lot of urban sketching when we're out in excursions, and I'm not the expert on perspective. I hated it in college. There's a lot of math involved and I hate math. But I do the basics teaching, like what perspective kind of means. And when you go out in like an excursion, you want to draw and paint a building, you pretty much have like the basics down for those, you know, obviously simple shapes, and then how to just work it with the watercolor. I really just encourage everyone just to go for it. People say to me they can't even draw. By the end, they're like, oh my God, I can draw, right? And that's what it's all about. It's maybe I can assess what's going on in your head. You're thinking you can't draw, when like half the people who say that end up being like amazing people who can draw on my retreats. And I would say 90% of the time, people who say they can't draw can draw. I think it's all in their head, and they just need somebody to prove it to them that they can draw, right? And when we do all like at the end of each retreat, we have kind of like a gallery night, like the last night, and we put all the paintings down, and you can see like how amazing, you know, everyone is. Like maybe you think your stuff isn't great, but then you see all your paintings alongside others, and you say, wow, you know, they all look amazing, and they do, because I think a lot of the times we self-sabotage our own work, right? So part of the process in these watercolor retreats that we do is like learning new techniques, learning the basics in some cases, but also getting out of our head, me helping you to understand where your strengths and weaknesses are, right? So I might say, well, you know what, you're this kind of painter. You're a painter who loves to have saturated color, and that's fine. That's the kind of painter you are. You can't see it, but I see it because I can see the paintings. And same thing with other people who are like, you don't think you're good at drawing, you're amazing, so your pen and ink and wash are amazing, right? And I do all the kind of techniques on these watercolor retreats. I'll do like ink and wash and do some wet and wet like skies, because we're doing some landscapes, we're doing some still lifes, we're doing urban sketching. So we're trying to get a lot in like, you know, the 8 days that we're there. We have like sessions at the studio or out in the grounds that are like, you know, 3 hours in the morning, and like lunch break and like a couple hours, 3 hours back after that. So some days are like long painting days, and then some days are half painting days because we're going on excursions. But even on the excursions, I encourage everybody to bring their sketchbook, and if they don't want to bring all their paints, they can just bring some like maybe watercolor pencils or just sketchbook, you know, materials like inks, you know, pen and ink and all that kind of stuff. And so they can just draw the stuff and then maybe go back later on in their free time and wash in some watercolor, which is great. Also, what I forget to mention all the time is that when you go on these retreats, you end up making really good friends. I'm still talking to the ladies from my retreat from 2022 on WhatsApp. They create a WhatsApp before the retreats start and like during the retreat so that we can chit chat if you're lost in the excursion, you need to get a hold of each other, blah, 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 or something's going on or some kind of needs you have at the venue itself. So people are still talking on the WhatsApp, even after the retreats are long gone. Some people actually still hang out, etc., etc. So you're making some really great friends. And I love working with Uptrek. I will work with Uptrek only for my retreats because they are fantastic. They do all the logistics for me, so I just come in and just paint and have a great time with all of you. So if you're ever interested in looking at a retreat, you should check out my Instagram. If you're a Patreon member, you get the first dibs. I post Instagram if it goes out of Patreon, if they haven't picked it up, and then you can find it there. Or right now, I have a link right now below for the one I'm doing in Portugal in 2024. And so I might have a few more after that. I don't know yet. It's always like, we'll see. You know, we'll see where we are at with me working in my life. But yes, I love Uptrek. They're the great company to work for, and it's like the one I'm only going to work with, so they can just handle everything. And if you have any questions about anything on my retreats, there are wait lists for some of them that are sold out. You know, put your name on that, and maybe it'd be possible to talk to them about the retreats upcoming. If you have any questions, they're fantastic. They answer all the questions for you. So like I said, this is just a little snippet of what I did, where I went, you know, showing you the life of the retreats that I did back to back. Just check it out and see what you think. And hopefully you get to come on one, because I love to have you come. I just love teaching people and love going away, and it's just, it's a win-win situation for me anyway. So I began my first retreat driving towards the hills, well, the mountains in Spain. See Grazelema, which is way up there, like a 2-hour drive from Malaga. Here are some of the guests from my first Spain retreat in this beautiful venue. It's kind of spread out, but it's so cool. The views out here are amazing. Everyone's beginning their first dinner, getting to know each other, having a grand old time. I had such a great group of people. We had so much fun. There's a view from outside my casita, and the pool, one of the pools in this property, is like 5 of them. We're painting here on the first day under this beautiful trellis. It was really nice and warm. We could paint outside, which was fantastic. I do demos like during the day, and then I go around and see what people are working on, if they need help, what they're struggling with. And that is the best way to figure out like how you're doing in watercolor. So I'll give you a demo, I'll talk about some certain like aspects of watercolor and techniques, and then I'll go around and see if you're getting the technique, if you're understanding the technique that I'm teaching you. And so here I'm just showing you, this is the first day of our Spain retreat. This is one of the areas in our venue, so pretty. And just me walking along to show you the area that we painted in. Just a bunch of different, like here's the walkway towards the main house where we had dinners and breakfast and lunch. You know, look at that stonework everywhere. It's great. Fantastic. Walk all the way up, and when you get up to the top, you have these beautiful views of the Spanish mountains. There's so many great places to go when I'm teaching in watercolor overseas. Here's the top of it. You can see the mountains in the back, right? That's the living room window right there on the right-hand side. I loved doing this retreat. The views are just incredible. I mean, nothing like I've ever seen. Driving all the way up here to the mountains, it's so cool. Look how beautiful that is. So picturesque, so quiet, serene. It's how nature intended it to be, right? And it's so great to be in a place that has such inspiration so you can paint. Yeah, I just loved it. It's just such a beautiful place. And here's more of the actual venue itself. In the main house, there's like a little, I don't know what you call this, like a little enclave, like vestibule kind of area. There's where a fountain is. But I loved all the cool tile they had in there. What's great about this retreat was we walked to this town called Gastor. Look how beautiful the streets are. Gorgeous, with those beautiful blooms all in pots hanging on the wall. I loved it. There were tons of goats on the property too. I mean, look how cool. I kept on just yelling out, "Toads my goats." I mean, there's so many goats like walking the hills around there. It was so cool. We just enjoyed having like lunch and dinner together. Just a great group of people. Had so much fun. We went to another town called Setenil, the Bodegas. Look at this. It's in like a cliff kind of situation. All these whitewashed kind of buildings. Really cool. Such inspiration. Again, with those whitewashed buildings, some yellow trim, red trim, orange trim around the windows. And they have these, again, potted plants like hanging off the sides of the buildings, which I loved. This is really such a great inspiration town. That's what you get when you go on these retreats. And it's not just the retreat venue itself, and we're painting, but we're going to see some excursions that are really kind of really cool. Here we are walking through the town. It was just really quaint. I've never seen anything like it myself, so it was kind of nice to see. Just wild. Like when you go to another country, you experience such unique places. It's so much fun to do that. And you get inspiration for painting and drawing, and that's what it's all about, really. See, here we are at a wine tasting in that town. They have some great wines there, and we had the jambon ham with the wine, so it was a lot of fun to have a little tasting. These are kind of like I said, the fun little excursions we get to do while we're away on our retreats. It's not all just about painting. Sometimes we actually go and do some fun stuff. And here's a ride back going to the venue. Look at that! Look at those mountains. It's amazing. I just loved it. To me, it was breathtaking. Just looking out the windows. And the bus that we were on was just fantastic. And again, here we are painting. See, you can see so many people painting the pots that we saw in El Gastor. You're just walking around this venue. And painting outside is so much fun. Not all venues you get to paint outside. And of course, here we have happy hour with the view. I mean, there's nothing like it. Like I said, I just love this venue. It was so great. It is not for people who can't walk because it's very hilly, but is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. That's Antonio making our cocktails. He's fantastic. And this is Ronda, another excursion we went to. Oh my God, so breathtaking. It's like a cliff city. It's on this cliff. Look at that bridge. I painted that bridge in one of my Patreon tutorials. This is like a little urban sketching we did at this little cafe overlooking that bridge. So much cool. So much fun to do this. I love urban sketching. It really takes you out of your comfort zone and teaches you to look at things and learn how to draw a little more. Observation is the real key for like urban sketching. You observe and then paint. And you don't have to be perfect with your sketches. You just get the feeling of where you were, what time of year, etc., etc. I loved all the sketches everyone did and all the paintings. It came out fantastic. And this little city is gorgeous. I mean, look at that. It's so cool. You're way, way up. When you look down, it's kind of scary. They also have like one of the first bullfighting rings, and there was that movie, the Disney movie Ferdinand was basically based on the city Ronda because of this bullfighting ring. Really cool. And we were high above so we can overlook the bullfighting ring. Yes, it was really cool. Had a little cocktail here. And of course, our last night we had this amazing paella kind of dish they made. It was fantastic. I think the food was really great. It was vegetarian in this retreat, but fantastic. Foods I never had before, which I really loved. Just so different. That's why I love to go on these retreats and host them. It's so much fun. The last day of painting, me doing demonstration. Let's look at some of the paintings that everyone did. It's such amazing work. Fantastic.
Happy birthday to you.
Yep, sometimes people have birthdays on our retreats and we look to spoil them. This was Miss Karen's birthday. Well, the next day was her birthday and we gave her a beautiful carrot cashew cream cake. It was awesome. Now on to France. My second retreat, my back-to-back retreat was in Auty, France. This beautiful chateau called Chateau de Mars. It was absolutely drop-dead gorgeous. Everything about this place was so beautiful. The grounds, the chateau itself. Here I am walking towards the gardens that go down into the pool area, which are way down and around. It was so beautiful. And it was such a different temperature than Spain. It was cool at Spain. It was really hot in this part of France when I got there. So it's wild to go from like wearing jackets to shorts and t-shirts. Here's the gorgeous studio. And this is our first day of painting in Auty, France at my France retreat. Had another amazing group, of course. And the studio was beautiful. I would love to have the studio. Oh my God. One of our first excursions was this town called Montpezat. Absolutely beautiful, gorgeous town. Look at that. I mean, every little corner and nook was just like a photograph. There's a beautiful old church, has this really ancient tapestry. It's actually beautiful. Handmade tapestry, just wild. It's so great to go to these small little towns in France. So unique and different. Look at that. Like, it was one picture after another. I swear to God. Loved walking through the towns. I just love all the shutters that are like periwinkle blue. Some are turquoise and green. That's what you see all over in the south of France. Just this beautiful stone buildings and gorgeous shutters. Here's another part of that town, the farmer's market. They had like a small farmer's market because the town was very, very small. It's a cute little town. It was a very short drive from the actual Chateau de Maz. They're selling some different types of cherries. Loved this little town. It was such a little gem to paint. Having a little refreshment here, a coffee or a Coke or some water. Nice group picture we took. I just loved it. And then we were heading to a special wine tasting lunch, which is fantastic. I can't forget the name of the winery, but we had French Malbec. A beautiful little winery, has a beautiful chateau. And we had a great wine guide for this. The actual lunch was really, really nice, very high-end because it's a Michelin-rated restaurant. So the lunch was fantastic. And these are some of the things that you get on the excursions with my retreats. Depending on which retreat it is and where we're going, we have different types of things. And this was really kind of a nice experience, having the wine tasting lunch. Here we are walking in the vineyards, and he's describing what type of vineyards, what kind of grapes they use, the vintages, all that kind of stuff. It's really pretty property. It was kind of hot out, but doable that day. Lovely sunny France, I'm telling you right now. I love those French oak barrels. Driving back, look at that sunset. Gorgeous at Chateau de Maz. I just love this place. So beautiful. Oh, no, some great dinners here. Gorgeous towns we visited. Loved the studio, like I showed you, like doing some other, getting a little wild and crazy here, but we're doing some fruit. I did a demonstration on expression of painting with watercolor with fruits. Sometimes we do some paintings of the area itself that we're staying in. So I did some mountain paintings or the chateau. And look at the food we had at Chateau de Maz. It was so beautiful. Look at that dessert. It was so good. Took another excursion again, and I just love when we take excursions, can get to see the countryside of wherever we're going. It's so cool. Here we're heading to another excursion to a town called Saint-Antonin-Val. This town was filmed in the movie, was used in the film 100-Foot Journey with Helen Mirren. It's a great movie. I loved it. My kids loved it. Before we head into towns, I do like a little quick perspective kind of tutorial talking about perspective, and then we can go into when we go to these towns, we sit in these cafes, we can do some urban sketching. And I always encourage people to urban sketch. You don't have to do the buildings necessarily. You can just urban sketch something you see, the coffee or croissant you had, Don't feel pressured to do buildings and cafes and all that stuff. It's supposed to be fun and not stressful. And, you're supposed to enjoy your time painting and drawing and all that good stuff. So I really enjoy hosting retreats overseas. It's so much fun. It's inspiring. There's so much to look at and paint and just enjoy. And so if you're ever interested in doing a retreat with me, you have to check my, I post it on my social media. Patreons get first dibs. And then after that, it goes to the public. And right now I have a retreat happening in Portugal in June 2024. So if you're interested, like I said, check out the little link below in the description box for the upcoming retreat. And always check back on my social media, like my Instagram and my Patreon and TikTok sometimes. I put it on TikTok, but mostly in Facebook page. But mostly I post it on the Instagram. So if you're ever interested, make sure you check that. And like I said, there's one that's going out right now, and there's a few spots left in Portugal. Here I'm doing another demonstration, and it's just so much fun to get together with people and paint. If you're passionate about watercolor, you love to come and treat. Look at the outcomes. An amazing job that these people did. We had so much fun. It was a great time, and I'm looking forward to doing another one. I hope you enjoyed this little snippet.